So my son's getting married here in a few weeks, and his fiancée asked me to build her a cross. They're getting married at a venue where there's no cross there. It's like a barn-like building. It's real trendy wedding venues right now. So, but there's no cross there. She'd like one somewhere up in front. And so she asked if I'd make one. And I thought, oh, heck yeah, I can do that. I'd love to be a part of their wedding in that way. There was a little bit of a challenge. I had no clue what the dimensions needed to be. The great thing about that is I did the research for you, and I'm going to give you all the information you need to make a cross for a wedding like this, or you could change it however you want to suit your needs. So let's get into this build and see how it's done. My future daughter-in-law showed me a picture. I could tell from the picture that it was made out of pine, and so that's what I'm gonna make it out of. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use the full 8 foot on the one board, and then I'm gonna cut the other one to length for the cross piece. I'm gonna make a lap joint where the two meet, so I'll cut out a notch out of the center section of this halfway down, matching notch on this where it goes on the vertical piece, and then we'll lap them over top of each other and they'll fit real nice. The problem with that is when you're working with 2 by, in this case, 6 lumber, they come with a rounded over edge. And so I know that rounded over edge, when it meets the piece that it's going to fit into, there's going to be a little gap where the two meet. No, I don't think it's going to look nice. So what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to lightly surface plane these so that we eliminate that rounded over edge that comes on these boards and can get a little bit nicer result out of it, so it fits together a little nicer. So that's my first step here, is run the surface planer, and I'm just going down. It's maybe an 1/8 inch round over. It might even be just a 1/16. So pretty minor cut here. I got the 2 boards, I got them planed, so now I have pretty nice crisp edges on these corners that had the round overs that you get from any kind of store. You get 2 by 4, 2 by 6 lumber from. They always have a little round over. So those are squared off now. I printed out a dimension plan for this cross because I knew I was going to probably forget it. So I went on the computer and drew a sketch so that I had the ratios right, and I thought, I could dial it into the exact size I want. So I'll put these on the screen so that you can see how to make this. So what we're going to do is, first of all, I'm dealing with some spots on these boards that I don't love. There's a weird notch here in this knot. There's a down on that end. When I was planing the boards, the weight of the board, I wasn't holding on to the end, supporting it very well, and it kind of dropped a little bit as it came out of the planer, and it created like a gouge, or a snipe is what they call it. It's just like a groove where the board wasn't supported the whole way once it came off that front infeed roller. So I want to avoid that. I need one that is 8 foot, so the overall height is going to be 8 foot. So I'm most likely going to need to use this one as it. It has a little bit of nastiness down at the bottom, but I can sand it, and also one end is going to be kind of covered up by the stand that I have to build to make this thing stand up on its own. So that probably won't be seen. As a whole, this piece is a lot nicer. There is a little split up there that I may need to put a little glue in. Definitely want to turn that to the back. The first thing I need to do is get the cross piece that goes horizontal cut to length. Now, I did some research online. What I found was typically you want to go for the cross length, should be half of the overall height of the cross. So if we're going 8 foot, then this is going to be 4 foot. So I'm going to cut these to 4 foot. And then where this gets positioned is typically down from the top about half of the width of the cross piece. So 2 foot on center going out. I played around with those dimensions, tried a couple different ones, varied them within a few inches of each other, and dialed it into those dimensions. So 2 foot down from the top is where it starts. This will be an overall width of 4 feet, the overall height of 8 feet, and we're creating what's called a lap joint in the middle. So there's going to be some new techniques I've never shown in this process. But the first thing I want to do is get this cut so that we can start getting everything else established and start cutting out the parts of those lap joints. All right, so I have this thing cut now. I am going to measure, should be 21 1/4 from each end. And that should leave us 5 1/2 in the middle. I'm showing 5 1/2. So one thing I want to do is just double check. And the way I'm going to double check this is actually use the board. Before I do that, let's get a mark on here. With a square. Just to establish the one end. So that's where we're going to want to start it. I just want to hold this on here and see if it goes to my other mark. Man, it's really close. So that should be good. We want a real nice snug fit. So I'm going to draw this as well. I'm just double checking this because this is pine, so I'm getting a little bit different angle here coming the other way. That could be a problem with using pine. It's not very much. I'm probably nitpicking here. All right, so here's what's going on. I have this small router. Got a flush trim bit on this router. I intend on using this. Here's the problem. Because you can't do all that in one cut. So I have to go in multiple passes. As I cut away the middle, what's going to happen is I won't have anywhere to support this base. I'll eat it away, and you just can't do it. Not with this. I could do it maybe on a router table, but I could do it on a table saw, or a skill saw. I could make a couple cuts and then chisel it out. It's a lot of work. I am on the time crunch, and this is the fastest way to do it. So there's a little workaround. What I've created are two just pieces of, it's just like MDF. And what I'm going to do with it is I'm going to use it as the fence. So I'll clamp it to this line. It'll support this. And then the other one is going to be, I'm going to move it as I go. So I'll clamp it in place, make a pass, move it a little bit, make a pass, and just nibble away at it. And by doing that, I will always have something to support this on. I am going to turn my fan on because it is getting hot in this shop. And now that I've explained it, I'll just let the video roll. You can see what I'm doing. Okay, so I need to explain something here for a minute. I was getting ready to set up this edge piece. I had it all clamped on and everything. It lines up with the line so that my flush trim bit can just go right down through there. Happen to think, my bit, it only has a bearing right here. So that's the flush trim. If I were to run this now, I mean, going halfway through the board in one pass is too much. So if I raise the bit up into the machine, I lose my bearing and I have nothing to guide that will hit my line. So this is a little workaround, and this is just for the first pass. I only have to do this for this first pass, and then I can move this. I took my second piece that I was going to use over here, and I created a fence and it is clamped to this piece. It's not screwed together or anything. It's clamped to it. And all I did was there's a little overhang on my fence here that I made. And so I'm hanging my bit down over like that. And I brought this board up to the router, clamped it in place. Did the same thing over here. Pushed the bearing up against this straight edge. That is my final cut. Brought this up to the router, clamped it in place, and I just double checked it a few times because sometimes when you clamp one side, it throws the other side off. So I just worked back and forth a few times. And now I have an established fence that I don't need my bearing for to get this first line. So now I can, take a 1/4 inch off at a time, nibble my way down. I have my center line marked right here. So I'll nibble my way down along that edge. Then I'll have my depth, and then I can do what I was gonna do. I'm gonna have to do the exact same thing down here at this end, work my way down, and then clean out the middle. So that's how I'm gonna have to do it. Just something, sometimes you encounter problems like that in the middle. You have to figure out better ways to do things. Some of this is a little bit of experience over time. I've done things the wrong way and learned. Some of it was me when I was a teacher and students ran into issues and we had to kind of work our way through problems and problem solve a little bit. So I'm going to clamp this in place so it doesn't move. Turn that fan back on because I'm already sweating in here. And I'll go ahead and route these. All right, so a few things to note. One, got a little fray going on right here. Not that big of a deal. Definitely can sand that out. But one way that you can prevent that is with masking tape. That was where I exited each time. I'm gonna flip this thing end for end to do the other end. And so I know it's gonna exit right here. You can actually take masking tape and it helps. It doesn't 100% fix the problem, but it helps the problem. We used to do this all the time when we cut plywood on the table saw. Let's say your table saw, you want to cut a straight cut a dado cut down the middle. We always would take masking tape right where the cut lines are going to be. It just helps keep those wood fibers together. So I'm going to do that. It should help. I'm going to do the exact same thing at this end that I just did. It worked very well. One thing to note when you're using a router, just be careful with that bit. In between cuts, you got to shut it off each time. Don't try to adjust the machine while it's running. I shut it off, adjust, and then also make sure it's not touching the workpiece when you turn on the router, because it will grab and go anywhere. So as with any tool, before you use it, make sure you're properly trained. This is not a tool training channel or anything like that. We expect you to know how to use the tools before you use them. Read the instruction manual, have someone teach you in person. Those are the best ways to do that. So again, I'm going to line this up the exact same way. Get that bottom piece right where I want it and bring the top piece in the exact same way I did it before. I lined up the bottom. I'll make sure there's a little overhang each direction so that I can utilize that bearing on this piece. So that's really good. Now I just push the bearing up against, bring this top piece in, making sure that the bottom piece does not slide at all. So this end's good. And we'll go to this end. It's a little bit off. That's good. I'm going to check this end again. That looks good. So, and it's still on my line. So I'll just tighten these down. And then I'm going to double check everything. Make sure it's where it needs to be. And we are good. So that's in place. I'm going to clamp this again like I did before to the workbench. So one thing I thought of is if you're ever routing like this, one thing you got to be aware of is what is supporting your router. So this is where my support is. I have to kind of always keep that in mind so that I'm putting downward pressure on this half of the router, not on this half of the router. If I lose focus and change where my downward pressure is, what can happen is my router can tilt like this and it's going to gouge it, it's going to throw your cut off, it's going to be horrible. So that's something to keep in mind. Let's keep cutting here though. Now, periodically I need to check my depth. Alright, so not quite there yet. Might be able to go the rest of the way here. So I want to work our way this way and work it back. That way I can control how much is coming off each time. The only thing I got to be careful of is don't hit this edge. So I'm going to try to show what is actually going on at a height that you can see. So the what I got here is, first of all, I adjusted this depth, and I kind of wish I didn't now. So I'm going to push that down so that it is the depth of the other. All right, so there's step one. But so now I got a little bit wider channel here. My depth seems good still. So I'm just going to nibble away at that. You cannot take a full cut like that at this depth at the same time. I didn't want to adjust the depth because then I have to refine it every time I make a cut. And I think it's just easier to take little bites away instead of readjusting that entire depth. All right, so I'm just going to turn this off until I get towards the end here. Save some of this time so we can use it for more educational things, because this is the same thing over and over. I'm thinking maybe I should just tap this with a chisel. I think I'm going to do that. A little safer. I don't need chunks of wood flying. So I can tap this with a chisel and clean it up. It's not going to break off right where I wanted it. Left a little bit of wood. I can just clean that up now. Should be good to go. So now I have the other one to do. It's going to be the exact same process, so I'm not going to show it on camera unless I run into any issues. Hopefully I won't. Just to look at what the tape did. It's still peeled back a little bit, but not as bad as the splinters that were on this side. So it did help. Again, I can just sand that. It should be fine. All right, so before I get into actually cutting these, I wanted to show how this fits together. Actually, my cuts were pretty darn good. It should fit in quite nicely. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to measure down from the top the 2 foot that I was aiming for. And I'm going to use this board to trace it. So I'm down 2 feet. That's where it's going to start. I'll throw my square on partially because I'm curious how square everything is that I did so far. Again, that could be slightly unsquare just because the boards aren't square. All right, looks pretty good there. So if we put the cross piece on, I have to scoot it down a little bit here. That's pretty good right there. So my cuts, I can just trace right here, right here. I am hoping this is pretty square. It's a little bit off. A little bit off. That one, it should be fine. Got the stain I wanted. I'm gonna put a glove on because I don't feel like going the rest of the day with fingernails that look like I was just playing in the dirt. And I already discovered something disappointing. I got some swirl marks from the sander. That's really disappointing. It's also not darkening as much as I thought it was gonna. It's also disappointing. This sucks, to be honest. I'm gonna have to go back to the sander and resand this. This is unacceptable. I was using a few pieces of sandpaper that probably could have been swapped out. That is most likely the cause of it. Happens sometimes, but that needs fixed. I can't put my name on that. So we're gonna let that dry a little bit and try this again. All right. So I came back and sanded this. Let's see if this is any better. Yeah, so I got a new sheet of sandpaper on here. Also didn't go quite as fine of a grit. Tell you what, this is a lot lighter than I thought it was going to be. You would think something called special walnut would be darker, but so I'm going to put it on pretty liberally. I'm probably going to put on another coat. I think you get the idea. We're going to just repeat this for the rest of it. Then we'll assemble and do the clear coat. Okay, so I am now ready to glue this together. So again, we're going to lap joint this just like so. One thing I want to do is I'm a little bit concerned that glue will ooze out of this and drip down the back side. So I am just going to put some tape just along this edge. To try to keep any kind of glue that would ooze from forming on this edge. It's going to save me a little bit of time, if you know. May not be necessary, but it also can't hurt to do. So and then I also put it on these edges right here. I'm kind of getting to the time crunch here. I've got to drive this thing up to Ohio tomorrow because that's the last chance I have to drive it there before the wedding. So I have to make sure I have no unexpected problems today. All that's left is gluing this together, then putting the clear coat on. So I'm going to put some glue on here, just using the standard wood glue. I'm going to do it on both faces, and I'm just going to spread it out, just like finger painting kind of. Just getting a nice coat on there. I'm not putting it down the sides or anywhere where the two pieces meet up, because I figured it's probably going to ooze there anyways. Just a nice layer. And then do the same thing with this piece. Okay, I think that we're ready to set this on. I already got some glue on there. All I'm gonna do is clamp this together and then just let it set for a few hours. Probably gonna put one clamp on every corner here. Get good pressure. These clamps have some tape on them. Used them for some epoxy stuff. So, just never took the tape off. If that's gonna ooze out, it's most likely gonna ooze out underneath. I think we got it. We'll let this dry and should be ready for finish this afternoon here. Well, we've got this all glued up, assembled. Now we're just gonna put some clear coat on. I'm using a polycrylic. This is gonna take a couple coats. It's a beautiful day outside here in Southwest Florida and I'm taking advantage of it. I don't have a whole lot of room inside of my shop slash garage to do this, so this is a perfect place. So I'm just gonna brush it on, nice even coat. One thing you gotta watch is anytime you hit a corner, hit an edge like this, it forms a drip. So just gotta be careful in situations like that. Wipe up your drips because they can run down to the bottom side. So I always try to go off of an edge like that instead of coming off the, like out here and coming onto the edge. We're just gonna coat the top this time. Actually, I think I'll coat the top and the sides. That way, when I go to do the back, I don't have to worry as much about drips getting to the front. To wrap this cross project up, I am going to attach a foot to this. I wasn't actually gonna do this. I gotta transport this thing from Florida to Ohio tomorrow. Was not planning on attaching these until we were in Ohio. But I thought, well, I can at least do the side-to-side ones. So what these are gonna do is I'm gonna have one go this way, then I'm gonna have another one go this way, and I'll have another one come this way, and then another one go that way. So I'll have 4 legs. We'll cover all this up with, I'll use sandbags to weight the cross down, and we'll cover it all with like a sheet or some kind of nice cloth that will hide the base. So that's why I didn't stain this base. You're never gonna see it. It will be an eyesore. I am just gonna screw this in. I have, those screws will be fine. I'll probably just put 3 screws in per leg. And I'm using this as just like a simulation of the floor, making sure it's flush here. And that should be right where I want it. Those 2 are done. So that actually wasn't too complicated. I got to show some new techniques in this video. The lap joint that we did in the middle turned out really good, as you can see. If you need dimensions for this, to make a cross, this one is 8 foot tall, 4 feet wide. I will provide those. There'll be a link down in the description. It'll take you to my webpage where you can get dimensions for a cross and have an idea how you can build yours. If you're new here, my name's Andy. I was a high school shop teacher for 18 years, and I just enjoy making videos where I show how to make stuff. Hopefully it's something that somebody can get some value out of, and maybe they need to build a cross for something and have no clue where to start like I did. Hopefully this video could help somebody like that out. If you got anything out of this video, if you enjoyed it, please hit that like and subscribe button. And if you see the hype button that's down here, please click that too. It's only usually available for like a week or so, but it really helps my channel and helps this video, and I greatly appreciate it. If you're looking for some other videos that could be helpful for something you might need to make, or some techniques you want to learn, or just some entertainment, check the ones out here that are on the screen. And other than that, we'll see you next time.